And we're back, and we're doing Halloween, and we're talking about ghosts and goblins. Casper the Friendly Ghost is going to be out in force, which brings me to a point. If you're going to be out driving around Halloween night, please, please, please keep your foot off the accelerator as much as possible. You don't need to be speeding. The youngsters will be out running, wearing costumes, face masks. They're not going to be paying attention to anything except how much candy they've got and looking in the bag all the time. So kind of give them a break and start early and take your time. Teri French is with us right now. And Teri, you run the Tulsa Spirit Tours, correct?
Yes, sir.
And what is that?
For 19 years, I've been doing haunted history tours in Tulsa, telling all the history, hauntings, ghost stories, urban legends of our city.
Well, you crossed paths with our first guest, didn't you?
Yes. There's a while back, several years ago, we were actually allowed to in the house to investigate, and we were up in the attic. And I was sitting in the sit-in window with a girlfriend of mine, looking at some strange pictures, and one of our other girlfriends was at the opposite end of the attic, and she called us over there to look at something. When we returned to look at those pictures again in the sit-in window, there was a dead bird sitting right there. We would have been sitting right on top of it. It was the strangest thing.
So it wasn't there before?
No, we would have been sitting on it.
Now, come on.
I know, it's the strangest thing. My ex-husband even picked it up and smelled it because he wanted to see if it was recently dead. Maybe it was like in a soffit above us or something, but it had been dead for a long time, he said.
Okay. Tulsa Spirit Tours. Do we have many haunts?
Well, we have kind of a bad history in our city.
Really?
With the Tulsa Race Riot Massacre.
Yeah.
And a lot of the places that were kind of involved with that, people have claimed to have different weird paranormal experiences.
Give us an example.
Like the Tulsa Theater would be one. There's long been rumored that during the Race Riot Massacre, it was actually supposed to be a safe haven for a lot of the victims of the massacre, and it turned out to be just the opposite. Now, a lot of people don't know exactly what happened once the doors were closed, but the rumors are men were tortured, killed alive, burned in the coal furnace down in the basement, and their bones buried behind the wall. That's still an urban legend today. It's never been dug out to see if it's really true, but there's definitely photographic evidence of people being, corralled like cattle into the theater. Again, like
Really?
It's supposed to be a safe place, and their hands are in the air and they're at gunpoint. So,
I wonder if they'll ever excavate to determine, because they're doing it again. They're excavating a different part of the cemetery.
yes.
And I wonder if they'll ever excavate the theater.
I asked Peter Mayo one time if he'd ever thought about taking out some of the different color bricks and mortar that are down there in the basement. And he told me, yeah, he almost did one time, but his whole entire staff threatened to quit, and a lot of people advised him not to, that it might be a bad idea, opening Pandora's box, if you will. So he never has.
What gave you the idea to start the tour?
I actually have a paranormal research team. I started the very first one in Oklahoma, and it happened because I worked at a place that was haunted. And
you can't just say that and dance away.
well, I can't disclose the location, but there was a gruesome murder that happened at that location back in the 80s. And they had reopened the case because it was a cold case file. And when they reopened it, all this weird stuff started to happen where I was working, doors slamming, toilet lids slamming down by themselves, papers, weird stuff. And that kind of renewed my interest. As a kid, I always loved, Alfred Hitchcock and all the really cool movies back then, and the paranormal and the weird stuff. And so that kind of just renewed my interest in it. And I've come to find out people actually investigate paranormal activity, and that was like back in the late 90s. Before it was as seen on TV.
You see, the reason I'm sort of fascinated, I hear you say that was back in the late 90s, or that was back, in the 80s. Child, I've been in this business half century.
Right.
I mean, I've seen a lot come and go, but I ain't never seen no spook. And I've been, to a couple of county fairs and a goat roping, and I've never had anything come along that really frightened me or, caused me to go, hello, but you have.
And people on my tours have. In fact, I do a haunted pub crawl in the downtown arts district, And just 3 weeks ago, at one of the places where I take them, I feed them. It's pizza. It's a pizza place now. And we were all sitting there just talking, and a pizza pan just flipped up in front of everybody. No one around it, with about 20 witnesses. And there's other things that have been kind of happening in that location as well.
Do you drink a lot?
No, I really
Would
don't.
you like to?
Sometimes, yes. When I see those things, it's like, maybe I do need a drink.
It's fascinating. Tulsa Spirit Tours, and you just decided to launch it on your own.
Yeah, one of my girlfriends one year, back in 2003, she said, "You have learned so much about the history, the hauntings, ghost stories. You should do a ghost tour." And I thought, that sounds kind of fun. And I rented a trolley, and it's kind of history from there.
See, one of the best movies that I personally think was ever made. Now, what are we seeing here?
That's a ghost dog that I got at the Whaley House in San Diego. That's another ghost dog that my son talked about incessantly when he was a child. He's 24 now, but that's when he was 3. That's some odd glowing images that are surrounding me. There's a hand coming out of the door holding my hand. That was an abandoned hospital in Guthrie, Oklahoma. And that's an apparition. Next to me, her head is so small next to mine. She would have had to have been 20 feet from me to appear that small, and it's a little 4x12 hospital room, so it's really not possible.
Fascinating stuff. You got to put me on your mailing list.
Okay. We have no idea what that is. Again, whatever it is was emitting light onto the door frame, so it's just some glowing images that were around me at this crazy, insane place.
You got to love this stuff. But as I started to say, one of the early motion pictures that I have always favored, and the title escapes me right now, but it was a Jimmy Stewart movie. And he was an FBI agent, and he was investigating a number of different cases, none of which were involved with spirits. But I recall in the movie, there was an instance where he left a toy that belonged to his son on the windowsill. And they did one of those fade outs, where the seasons come and go and the little thing just sat there and turned the whole time. And again, I'm a non-believer. I don't go there. It just doesn't, I'm never afraid of them.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are, and you really do have to experience something like that to believe in it. If I hadn't, I don't know that I would.
Well, at my age, is it too late?
No, it's not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you could experience it anywhere.
I'm going to have to go on one of your tours.
Absolutely.
Listen, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about the tours.
I appreciate you having me.
You have a web page people can go to?
Yeah, just go to TulsaSpiritTours.com.
And that's it?
That's it.
And they can book a time, and
Yes.
you'll take them around and feed them pizza.
That's right.
And watch for the flying pans.
Hopefully.
Teri French, thank you.
Thank you.
You're a joy to talk to, and I'm not laughing at you.
I understand.
I'm laughing with you.
I got you.
Hopefully. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with one more thing that I think is going to roll your socks up and down, so stay with us.